Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Tuesday reset video. I am your Destiny Dad, and I hope you all are having a good week so far. I just realized that I did not change off of my Trials gear. I didn't play much last week. I wrapped pretty much everything up for the season so far, outside of just farming weapons. And so I hopped on some other games this past week. And played a little Apex, started a playthrough of the old Devil May Cry games, and but hopped on last night real late to run a Trials card and just never took off my gear. But with all that being said, let's check out what our lovely friend Banshee has to offer us this week. So, up first we have the Snorri FR5 with Res Burst, Compulsive Reloader, Liquid Coils, and Arrowhead or Fluted Barrel. You also have a Ranged Masterwork. Now, this is not super S tier meta, I don't believe, but this combo goes really hard, and it would be just a good fusion to have, I think. If maybe you have started playing since the Dawning ended, or maybe you just had bad luck on the Glacioclasm. There's one more Void Fusion that can get Res Burst, but I'm blanking on which one it is. But if you don't have another Void Fusion with Res Burst, I know this means you're going to have to manually reload, which is what most people try to avoid. They try to use Overflow or Envious or something like that. This would be a good option if you do not have one already. After that, we have the Nezarec Whisper. Yeah, this week's roll is not as good as they normally are. Adaptive Munitions, I was expecting this to be a lot better when it came out. I was kind of hyped for this perk. And then it came out and it really doesn't matter. I've never had a weapon that has this on it that's been useful at the time when I had it, you know? Like, I could see it maybe being a play in Grandmasters, something like that, because you actually have shields that you have to deal with. But even there, like, I've tried to make use of it and it just doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it does much. The rest of it is a decent roll, honestly, but this is a craftable glaive. I believe this one can get Demo of Wurple. I think that's the roll you want on this one, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember, it's been a minute since I crafted this thing. But this roll, nothing crazy, but you can pick this up to craft it yourself. After that, we have the Taipan FR4, actually a really solid roll. You kind of really want ammo refund more than just more ammo, but if you don't have a good Void Linear, this will put in work for sure. But once again, this is a craftable weapon, so at the very least you could pick up a few and use some harmonizers on them and get it crafted so you can make it a little bit better than that. Marcado 45, very slept on machine gun. Triple tap onslaught extended mag. I don't love triple tap on a weapon I intend to use for ad clear, because most levels of content, the ad clear that you're doing, you're not hitting 3 headshots fast enough to refund your ammo, and typically speaking, you're not wanting to use your weapon made for ad clear on a champion or a boss or something like that. There are exceptions for that, of course, you know, but typically. But this roll feels like it would be really solid. It's a 452, so you could tap fire and clear out trash ads. I could see a situation where you tap fire, clear out a few trash ads, you break a champ shield, and then you swap over with onslaught times 3 and triple tap, and you burn through a champ. I could see that situation. If you don't have something like this or something better, I definitely recommend grabbing that one. Up next, we have the Huscal rocket launcher. Actually a decent roll. If you don't have impact casing on these things, implosion rounds is the next best. Impact just gives you flat extra damage, while implosion improves your stats. But yeah, hard launch, implosion, velocity masterwork, tracking, cluster. I could see somebody using this in PvP. This is not going to break the bank for damage in PvE at all. But for just like sticking a rocket in your backpack to have one, this is one of my favorite rocket launchers that they've ever had in the game. I don't know what it is about it. It's just a fun one. Do I recommend you pick it up? Probably not. But I will say that if you do pick it up, it will not hurt you or be a waste of materials. I just think that in terms of rocket launchers, it's not fantastic in today's standards. Last but not least, we have Path of Least Resistance. Hipfire grip, 1 for all, tac bat, and arrowhead. Mostly good. I think we had a similar roll to this last week, but I think it was Frenzy maybe? But arrowhead, tac bat, range masterwork, all great. 1 for all, fantastic. Hipfire, Hipfire is not a perk that I like all that often. It's seeing a lot of use right now on RDM hunters, especially in PvP. But, you know, on a trace rifle, maybe. There are some trace rifles that kind of feel better when you fire them from the hip. And it's been a minute since I've used this one specifically, but it could very well be that this one just feels good from the hip. And maybe that hipfire grip boosts that. But with that being said, this is craftable. So at the very least, you could pick up a few copies and use some harmonizers and get this thing crafted. This thing is also available, if I remember correctly, from the Seraph Exotic mission. Now, with all that being said, let's all go and say hello to our friend Ada. Alrighty, here we are at Ada 1. As always, you have your 5 synthesizer bounties. Always pick these up, even if you don't know if you're doing those specific things, because they're just good to have in your back pocket. For this week on your hunter, we have the Errant Knight set. This is a decent looking set of armor. I use 1 or 2 of these pieces in my cosmetics, my transmog every now and then. Mainly the legs or the chest. I like the chests that look like this, and the legs with these kind of boots. They both kind of have a ninja-esque look to them, I suppose. But anyway, as always, disclaimer, this armor is not meant to be high statted, but occasionally it will have a higher stat than normal. And as I always say, if something has a spike in it that improves your build overall, doesn't matter if it's a low overall stat. So this week you have 58 arms with 22 strength and 18 recov. You've got a chest piece with a base 56. You've got 22 resilience and 16 discipline. You've got your helmet at 48 with 18 resilience and 10 intellect. And lastly, you have legs with 12, 10, 12, 13 in mobility, resilience, discipline, and intellect, respectively. Ooh, okay, now we're cooking. For your shaders this week, first up is the Satao tribe. This is a old shader from Black Armory, actually decent looking, honestly. And this was one of the ones that was actually kind of hard to get. I believe there were 4 of these legendary ones that were linked to like completing the, oh god, what were they? The forges. Completing the forges on higher tier difficulties, if I'm not mistaken. Up next we have Flowers of Io, another decent looking, that's actually really nice. I think I just turned my Warlock's cosmetics into like a bone mage looking thing. I might slap that on him. That looks really nice. Again, obviously, but once upon a time, we had a planet called Io, and you got this just as a common drop on that planet. Lastly, New Monarchy Diamonds. If you're into the red and gold look, a little bit shiny, that definitely will be the shader for you. Alrighty, now that we have seen all of that, let's take a quick peek at the Warlock and Titan armor that Ada has to offer this week. For your Warlock, you have 56 base stat gloves from the Philomath set, with 20 resilience and 19 intellect. That's actually pretty decent spikes. You get a 55 chest piece with 12 resilience, 14 recov, 9 intellect, and 16 strength. Again, decent spikes. Got a 59 helmet. The spikes are decent, but they're in not great slots. 15 mobility, 13 resilience, 14 discipline, 13 strength. If all of that mobility had been allotted elsewhere, that would be such a good armor piece. Lastly, we have some boots with a base stat of 53, 12 mobility, 14 intellect. I would definitely say if you don't have anything better, grab those gloves and that chest piece. I know their overall stats are low, but they have really decent spikes in really good slots, and you could easily make use of that in a build. And now for our Titans. See what we have. On the Karak Type 2 set, you have arms that are base 51 with 11 mobility, 12 recov, 18 intellect. A base 56 chest piece with 18 resilience and 26 intellect. Good lord, that's a really solid chest piece, honestly. You've got a helmet with a base of 46. It's got 12 recov and 10 discipline and 6 in everything else. And then you got legs with a 52 base stat, 17 recov, 16 intellect. Those boots are actually decent too. I'd say the chest is definitely worth upkeep because you're pushing 30 in that intellect stat and you're at 20 essentially with your resilience. Even though its base is 56, slap a mod on there, masterwork it, you're easily cooking with that armor piece. And maybe the legs if it works for a build for you, but the legs is iffy for sure. But with all of that being said, huge thank you to all of you for coming and hanging out with me. I always appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, do be sure to leave a like. And if you want to keep up to date with vendor refreshes and maybe get some insight into different perks and perk combinations that most people maybe would think are bad, get some hot takes here and there, definitely hit that subscribe button. Keep coming back and I will keep giving you my hot takes on armor and weapons. With all that being said, thank you all for watching as always, and I hope you all have a fantastic week. I will see you in the next one.